Good day everyone, here we are again with our latest video update on Typhoon Mawar. The afternoon of June 3, 2012 continued to watch the storm, also known as Bagyong Ambo, in the Philippines, continued to pull away from the island of Luzon. You can see in this latest infrared image, the storm is now heading to the northeast towards the Okinawa Islands. You can see the storm was last located approximately 400 kilometers east-southeast of Basco, Batanes, which is located somewhere over here. Maximum sustained winds have actually increased to 175 kph and gusts of up to 215 kph, which makes Mawar a Category 2 typhoon, slightly below the Category 3 threshold on the Saffir-Simpson scale. And all these winds are taken from JTWC, which uses 1 minute sustained winds. For JMA, it still remains a severe tropical storm with winds of around 55 knots for them, although we are still expecting for them to upgrade it into a typhoon in the next 24 hours. Again, as I said, the storm has now begun to turn to the northeast at a speed of 15 kph and into the direction of Okinawa and the nearby islands. The storm actually earlier featured an eye, very clear eye on the visible image, although it has been cloud filled ever since. This was also magnified in the latest, one of the latest microwave image taken from the satellite data. Here you can see that the eye wall peering inside the storm is actually broken and is partially open, particularly on the northwestern side of the storm. However, we are still seeing intense banding occurring on the southern and eastern side of the storm. We can still make out the eye wall right around here, so it's still a strong typhoon. We are expecting dry air and strong wind shear around Taiwan to be the causes of these recent developments. Nevertheless, as you know, JTWC decided to increase the winds using different analysis and also satellite data. Looking at the visible image, you can see the eye is still somewhat discernible on the visible image, but on infrared it's not doesn't mean that the storm is actually weakening. You can see in the infrared here that cooling cloud tops have begun to reappear, particularly on the eastern side of the storm, and JTWC is still actually expecting it to become a Category 3 in the next 24 hours. Speaking of warning signals from Pagasa, this is as of 11 a.m. We still have two areas under signal number 1, Batanes Group of Islands and Calayan Island, and extreme northern Luzon. Do remember that gale warnings are still up across the eastern seaboard of Luzon and even into eastern Visayas, as rough waves continue to affect travel and fishing in this part of the country. In terms of the rain bands, you also see that the storm is beginning to pull away, but you can still see some cloud tops on this satellite image, brought about by the southwesterly wind flow and the monsoon beginning to kick up now in the country, as the storm is enhancing that southwest monsoon. We've had actually reports of around 200 millimeters here in Pangasinan in the last 24 hours, and even down south in Palawan and central Visayas, some areas are still reporting 60 millimeters of rain the past 24 hours. So we still expect those rains to continue even as we head into the school week now, as the opening of classes begin for majority of the country. So still expect a rainy week for the country, even if the storm is pulling away. Going back to Mawar, and see now that the storm, as I said, is now turning its sights onto Okinawa. Here's the latest radar image from JMA, and you can see that it's still mainly clear in the islands. Some spotty showers, also some bands produced by the interaction between the typhoon and a stationary front situated in this region. Expect those two to continue interacting again. This is the feature that should help keep Mawar away from mainland Japan, as I have told yesterday. The outer rain bands are still far away from the island, although we expect those to begin affecting the islands tomorrow morning, Monday. actually we still have islands here, the Miyakojima Islands, to also begin affecting those, begin feeling those rains in the next 24 hours. And for that, JMS also issued some advisories, high waves and storm surge warnings for parts of Okinawa and even surrounding islands. In response to the approaching typhoon, we do expect them to issue storm warnings as Mawar approaches. Going into the forecast track, this is the layer mean wind analysis, which shows the steering flow in the atmosphere. You can see the subtropical ridge clearly shown here. We have the storm tracking to the northeast around the axis of the ridge, and you can see that there's a weakness here. Again, the boundary flow, the stationary boundary situated south of Japan should keep Mawar to the east northeast movement in the next 2 to 3 days. You can see that actually look at the computer models, see that the consensus, fairly good consensus, actually taking Mawar approximately 200 to 250 kilometers east of Okinawa by Monday morning, and then turning to the east, well south of Japan and well south of Tokyo. And by that time, expect the storm to transition into an extratropical storm by that time, and also rapidly weakening as it encounters cooler waters and stronger wind shear in this part of the world. Now going into the forecast tracks from the weather agencies, we have JMA's forecast, 5-day forecast. You can see lining up well with the model forecast. Again, going through the waters between Minami and Okinawa. Again, also staying well south of mainland Japan, well south of Tokyo by Wednesday. And again, turning sharply to the northeast as it becomes extratropical. JTWC also showing same thing here, predicting a closest point of approach of around 220 kilometers east-southeast of Kadena Air Base. Also expecting this storm to peak at around 105 knots. That's a category 3 typhoon in this first CIMSS scale, so still expect very strong winds near the core. And also Kadena weather for the airbase here, going by with the JTWC forecast, expecting winds around 30 to 40 knots, so that's around 50 to around 70 kph, with gusts of up to 100 kph definitely. So they have raised T-core or condition of readiness to 3, which expects destructive winds of around 50 knots in the next 48 hours. So please do prepare and take note of that. Again, the general idea remains the same, that again the storm is passing well south of Tokyo and of mainland Japan, so not a worry there, except maybe for some outer rain bands as it interacts with the baroclinic zone here. And also expect some rough surf to be felt all along the southern eastern seaboard of Honshu and even into islands of Shikoku and Kyushu. So that is our forecast and our video update for today. Please do take note that this is not official. You can always head out to JMA and also Kadena Weather for the latest official warnings and forecasts for your respective regions. Please do visit storm2k.org and also westernpacificweather.com for the latest updates on these typhoon. Again, thank you for watching. Please check out those websites and stay safe out there. Bye.